Earlier this year, my friend Maze and I completed a 6,000-kilometer round-trip journey to Scotland and back. We did it in two French economy hatchbacks from the 80s, two Peugeot 205s. We modified those cars beforehand, and on the evening of coming back, we decided to do a small walk around and show you what's what. And I think we should start with the underdog, this one. This is a 1989 205 GT, powered by a 1.4-liter TU engine with a single carb. And you think, why do I want that? It has 5 doors, it's non-wide body, standard 13-inch wheels, and only 75 horsepower. The reason you want this is it's a quarter of the price of a GTI, it can keep up, and it's considerably better on fuel consumption. None of that is really necessarily important for the road trip part, but I just wanted to tell you, this is the one you should get if you really want something reliable. And it's the one I would have wanted to buy. On the subject of what we did to this magnificent piece of French engineering, we did a major service on the thing, including a belt change and oil change and all that jazz. The rest of it is more or less untouched. On the exterior, we obviously had to add spotlights and the mandatory yellow aux headlights. And because you have to have it, we put some mud flaps on. But you should have seen that already. And the biggie, apart from this half-open door, is the roof rack. It's a front-runner unit, as on the GTI, and you can only fit it. I'm gonna say that here because it's a common thing all the time. You can fit that if you're willing to drill 8 holes into your roof, and so far I've figured out it's working only on a non-sunroof car. So stop asking. If you want one, call Frontrunner. They can make it happen. You have to drill holes in your roof. That is non-reversible. Just get that out there. It's a thing every time, every single time. But on the subject of mods, 2 Wolfpack Pros up top for storage. We ultimately ended up having both of them filled with food because we eat a lot. And the skateboard is honestly just for style. I have to openly admit that one of the wheel bearings seized before we left. It looked cool. Sometimes it's fine. It's a major inconvenience every time you have to get something out of the box, but it's there, so we take it. And this looks a little bit like an afterthought, because it is. Now, you see, I spent about $300 on CB radios, mobile CB radios, that are a little bit too weak and for some reason don't even work from the inside of the GT here. So this was the quick fix that I had lying on hand. Neither of the radios works particularly well. That's the one thing we kind of failed. Now, the rest, and if you've seen some of the other cars that have been built on this channel, is not as complicated as you might think. The interior, apart from a hidden USB plug and 12-volt socket in the glove box, is standard. And the only thing we did is we added airline rails to the boot. And the main reason for that is something you would only know if you've ever used a 205 on a daily basis. The boot is slippery as hell. You put something on the left and it'll be on the left once you stop, but it'll have touched every single surface and it will have moved in every single direction and made a terrible noise and it's probably broken. So that's why we have this in there now, which is securing the box, the third one on the GT, which is the cooking supplies, and obviously a set of chairs up top. This is also something that changed. And if I'm rambling on too long, you can skip ahead. Like, skip ahead to the GTI if you want to. But this is kind of the stuff that I'm really excited about. Is if you put the chairs in a space where you have to dig them out, you'll never ever use them. So you kind of have to put them inconveniently up top. So you actually end up taking them out and sitting on them. Because if not, you'll end up sitting here, which is a major inconvenience if you also want to work on something that's in here. Other than that, he chose to make his boot an absolute mess and put a guitar up top. None of that I'm going to cover. You have the episodes for that. And I think on that note, it's a magnificent car. It has more practical doors. It has the better kind of performance figures, relatively speaking, and it is really well kept. It now needs a suspension overhaul because it makes horrid noises, which you can't hear because it's freshly washed and all the dirt has gone, but it's a bit old. But other than that, we love it. Moving on to the GTI. It is still a bit of a love-hate relationship, this thing. You have seen me struggle trying to start it, then trying to drive it, and then I don't know. Oh yeah, the drive shafts. You know, the 3 drive shafts that I've killed before. It was reliable. But now, Scotland and back, it's still here. It's fast. It drives really well. And it's reasonably good on fuel. For all those that don't know and don't bother watching the rest, it's a 1987 German-delivered 1.6 GTI Phase 1, for the really nerdy folk out there. And it's done, I don't know, 100,000 kilometers on that second engine that someone put in, and I had to do a bunch of work to it, and I should have bought this, but yeah, didn't, and now I have a GTI. It has the same Hella Comet 500 spotlights up front, and these are the exact lights that were on the Rally Porsche on the roof. The difference is this time they're actually mounted in a spot where you can use them. They're configured to work with the high beam instead of separately, and they are also triggered together with the really nice yellow aux ones. But unfortunately, this one stopped working on the trip, but decided to fix itself right now, right here. And none of this is scripted, by the way. This is a complete one take. Now, I have the same roof rack as him, but due to the fact that I couldn't fit my spare wheel where it usually goes underneath the boot floor, I had to put it up top. And we also decided that the best place for the water would be on my roof, which is why I have now this jerry can style water tank. And looking at it from this rather appealing angle, I also have mud flaps, which are considerably wider than the ones on the GT because you can never have too much mud flap. And I have no rear wiper, which is more beautiful. And in the back, unlike him, I have a bit more organization going on, which is largely to the fact that I don't have the chairs. I have the recovery and kind of workshop gear that we need with some spanners and straps and what you need in case you break down, like jump leads and stuff. And on top, I have the drone. And the funny part about my car opposed to his is I also carried the baby seat all the way to Scotland and back. And I have clothing for the wife and the kid in the bag as well. I also have the 12-volt socket. I also have the USB. Essentially, they're sister cars through and throughout. And moving back to the original position, to the beginning frame, to end this, they are basically configured to work both the same way. And there's pros and cons to a heavily modified vehicle in both directions. And with these, they are basically cars. They're just cars with a little bit extra. Like, you can take the roof racks off. Sure, you had to drill the holes, but you still have the rails. The airline rails in the back, they're convenient, but they can also be taken out. Other than that, they're standard vehicles. And if you take the power leads out of the glove box, they look box standard. And to me, that was really important, to not have something that only works in one configuration. And what we've proven with this trip, at least to us, is bloody hell, a French economy car from the 80s can be the most fun vehicle you can have. And you can haul ass with them. One more thing. This was recorded as a one take, uncut, after at least 6.5 hour driving day, but we started at 4:30 and now it's 7:30 in the evening on a continent in a different time zone. So if I missed something and you want to know something, leave a comment. And I hope you enjoyed this. And if you're in doubt if a 205 is really cool, just go test drive one. Because that changed a lot of people's minds that I know of, including mine. And with that, I think we're going for beer. Hello. If you're still watching, you're probably part of my long-term audience and you have one very obvious question. Where this isn't the end of the road trip, what's happened? And you're correct, the road trip took about 2.5 more weeks of my time, including part of that as a holiday with the family, and we spent some time on the Isle of Skye as like the 4 of us and then the surrounding area. And we also went to the far north of Scotland. The problem is, this is a passion project. I've invested months of time and effort and money into this. Building the cars, finding the route, planning the entire thing out, making it all work. And now, I don't know, 8 weeks at least in post-production, trying to get this all to the standard that I'm happy with and make each and every episode something that I think will stand the test of time and be, a tiny art piece for the years to come. Something that isn't just a 30-second flick away. The problem is, quite apparently, that is not how the world works anymore. And I've come to the point where I still have 2 or 3 episodes left, which are very, very similar to what has already been published. And I've been quiet about this for a while now, but the numbers have been so crushingly defeating that it's just no longer worth the effort. I'm not doing myself any favors, and I'm losing interest in the footage. I'm losing interest in what we've done, and it almost feels like it's not special at all, and it's like something that you don't even have to care about. And I don't like that feeling. I don't want to have that feeling. And I'm eternally grateful for every one of you that comments and lets me know that it means something to them. It either inspires them to get another car of their own or go out and do a road trip. But for me personally, at this point in time, I cannot continue this series as I planned. And so this is, for better or for worse, the end of the season. It is also a changing point in the direction of the channel because I don't quite want to abandon the whole project. I mean, I've been working on this for 5 years on my own account with almost all that I have. But that is something that is coming up in 2 or 3 weeks when I'm ready to kind of showcase the direction and go in depth about more details that this whole journey is about and why certain options. Never mind. It'll come in due time. Maybe there will be an art piece about one of the hikes that we did after what you've seen. I'm not sure about that yet. But until then, I'd say this is the end of the journey. And to the very few that might have stuck along for this, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.